Omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids are the building blocks of your cellular health. Your body relies heavily on having the right omega-6 to omega-3 cellular health balance. So, how important is your and your family's health to you? In this video, you'll discover 11 life-saving and health benefits of omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids, in particular, have many powerful health benefits for your brain, your heart, your gut and your immune system. They're beneficial to your blood, your skin, your organs, your bones and your hair. Before you find out the benefits of consuming omega-3 fatty acids, you might want to consider getting an ongoing collection of news, reports, resources and courses on various health and wellness issues, linked or connected with omega-3 fatty acids. To do so is very easy. Just take a moment to subscribe, and then click the gray bell icon so you don't miss out on future uploads. Plus, watch this video to the very end, where you'll gain access to a special report that you don't want to miss. Now, there are 4 key factors you need to keep in mind when assessing these benefits, as follows. 1. Omega-3 fatty acids are not a cure for specific illnesses, ailments and diseases. Omega-3 fatty acids are a vital element in ensuring your body's cellular health is maintained at a level that minimizes the risk of chronic inflammation developing and getting out of control. When out of control, the chronic inflammation vastly increases the risk of you developing a whole myriad of illnesses, ailments and diseases. 2. Introducing the right level of omega-3 fatty acids to your body, via your diet and supplements, helps your body's cells to repair themselves, whilst stopping the onset of any illnesses, and in some cases, helping to reverse the conditions. One example of this is with people who suffer from type 2 diabetes. 3. The omega-3 fatty acids enable the cell membranes to become permeable, or far more permeable, than they have been. This means the nutrients and goodness that you get from eating the right foods and supplements can get into the cells and nourish them in a healthy manner. Equally, because the cell membranes are now more permeable, thanks to the omega-3 fatty acids, the toxins can be discharged and eventually flushed out of your body. This is how lots of people are able to reverse their type 2 diabetes. Remember, you are not what you eat, you are what your cell and cell membranes absorb. 4. You'll read that many studies claim to show whether omega-3 fatty acids help to cure this disease or that illness, but will be very non-committal with their findings. The key things you have to bear in mind is that there are 1. Different types of omega-3 fatty acids, and more importantly, 2. Omega-3 fatty acids on their own are not effective. This is because they should be protected by the right antioxidants. When obtaining your omega-3 fatty acids from natural food, such as wild salmon, sardines, anchovies and mackerel, and for vegans, from marine algae such as seaweed, this isn't a problem. However, if supplements are used, then there's every chance that the right antioxidants, called polyphenols, are either missing or an ineffective substitute, such as vitamin E, is used instead. So, be very careful of what your supplements contain. Keep all of these factors in mind when assessing what works and what doesn't work. Okay then, so what are the benefits of omega-3 fatty acids? Here are 11 examples of such life-saving and health benefits. 1. Omega-3 fatty acids are crucial to the normal function of your brain. There are 6 main issues to deal with when looking after your brain. 1. Fighting depression and coping with anxiety. This is a very big problem today. Mental health is now recognized as a mainstream condition, and part of the reason for that is because the various conditions are showing up in people at a much younger age than 10, or 20, or 50 years ago. Depression is a very common mental disorder. Everyone has experienced times of feeling down, being sad, having a lack of energy, losing interest in various, if not all aspects of life, and mood swings. Anxiety is not often recognized as a mental disorder, but when you consider that the constant worrying leads to a complete loss of confidence, to the point that nervousness permeates all areas of your life, then anxiety is very much a mental disorder. 2. Improving mental disorders. In terms of more acute mental health problems, such as bipolar disorder, split personalities and other issues, especially where aggressive and violent behavior is an occurrence, it's been found that a lack of omega-3 fatty acids in the body is a common theme. 3. Attacking dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Anyone who's experienced the gradual decline at first hand of the mental health of their elderly parents and relatives will know how sad this is. Whilst it's accepted that there's a gradual decline, as you get older, of your brain functioning as effectively as it has been, the worrying thing is that the decline is happening at an earlier age. Whether you refer to it as dementia or Alzheimer's disease, it still means the same thing, varying degrees of a loss of your memory. 4. Improving the quality of your sleep. Underpinning your mental health are your sleeping patterns. Good sleep is one of the most underrated benefits for the whole of your body and well-being. In particular, your brain is very responsive to good sleep patterns. The problem for most people is that a lack of quality sleep impacts immediately in the form of tiredness, a lack of clarity in thinking, a decline in reflexes, mood changes, and even leading to compounding existing problems, such as weight gain and obesity, diabetes, and mental health issues. A lack of omega-3 fatty acids in your body has been identified as being a reason for sleep problems of both children and adults, such as apnea, especially where the sleep hormone, melatonin, is also at a low level. 5. Improving your eye health. This is very dependent on having a healthy omega-6 to omega-3 balance in your body, especially for pregnant women. The unborn baby draws down omega-3 fatty acids from the mother's brain for the development of its own brain, including its eyes. The omega-3 fatty acid, DHA, is a dominant component of the eye retina, and for maintaining the health of your eyes, so as to avoid any vision problems, so imagine how important this is to your unborn baby. 6. Maintaining brain health for pregnant mothers and new babies. Omega-3 fatty acids are absolutely crucial for the maintenance of the brain of a pregnant mother and her unborn baby. In the third trimester, the unborn baby draws from the mother's omega-3 fatty acids resources in her brain, as mentioned earlier, to aid the development of its own brain and eyes. In addition, even after birth, the development and the growth of the baby is determined by the level of omega-3 fatty acids provided by the mother's breastfeeding. The benefits the child obtains are a higher level of intelligence, more cognitive reactions and awareness, better interaction and communication skills, less behavioral problems, including ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and a reduced risk of development problems, such as cerebral palsy and autism. 2. Omega-3 fatty acids can protect the development of young children. There are two key aspects in the development of children that omega-3 fatty acids help with. 1. Reducing ADHD symptoms. The inability of a young child to keep still, and to exercise control over its ability to pay attention, can be a big problem for parents and primary school teachers. This type of behavior is classified as ADHD, and is often linked with low levels of omega-3 fatty acids. 2. Reducing the scourge of asthma in children. One of the alarming consequences of our diets being full of processed and ultra-processed foods, is that the omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio imbalance leads to chronic inflammation that builds up in your body, and your children's bodies. And this leads to chronic illnesses and degenerative diseases afflicting an ever-increasing number of younger people, to the extent that the average ages of people suffering from such problems continues to fall. One such disease is asthma. Asthma attacks the airways of your lungs, resulting in inflammation, wheezing, coughing, and an overall struggle to regain your breath. It's bad enough seeing old people struggle with asthma, let alone watching a young child having to gasp for air. Omega-3 fatty acids are crucial to help reduce chronic inflammation in the body, so it should be mandatory for pregnant women to change their diet accordingly, if only for the sake of her baby's future. 3. Omega-3 fatty acids can improve risk factors for heart problems. Chronic inflammation is known as the silent killer, and is the leading cause of death. Unfortunately, heart attacks, strokes and other cardiovascular diseases are the main illnesses and diseases contracted that lead to death. Where omega-3 fatty acids come into play, is the effect they have on your blood and blood vessels, and, ultimately, all aspects of heart-related issues. They address these issues by helping to 1. Reduce triglycerides levels, 2. Reduce high blood pressure levels, 3. Improve the so-called good HDL cholesterol levels, 4. Avoid your blood from clotting, 5. Stop the buildup of plaque that hardens your arteries, and 6. Help minimize oxidative stress and other substances released during your body's inflammatory response. 4. Omega-3 fatty acids help to reduce non-alcoholic fat in your liver. As one health problem that highlights how chronic illnesses and diseases are becoming more prevalent owing to our unhealthy lifestyle, especially through the processed foods that push up the inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids in your body, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease (NAFLD) is more common than ever before. So, it should be of no surprise to you that this is linked to obesity. If ever there's such an epidemic in the world today, obesity is it. As omega-3 fatty acids reduce chronic inflammation, NAFLD is an inflammatory problem that can be helped by stopping the progress of the inflammation, and in some cases, it may be possible to start reversing that inflammation. 5. Omega-3 fatty acids help reduce symptoms of metabolic syndrome. Belly fat is a problem most people struggle with when their body's metabolism starts to slow down. This condition is one of the signs referred to as metabolic syndrome, which covers conditions that, if ignored, evolve into blood pressure and cholesterol problems, cardiovascular diseases, and diabetes. Specifically, metabolic syndrome is viewed as a precursor to type 1 diabetes. Omega-3 fatty acids can help with all of these conditions, but other actions that you can take to help yourself include undertaking daily exercise, reducing the volume of food you eat, and cutting out the processed foods you consume, such as takeaway meals, fast food, microwave meals, cakes, biscuits, and other processed foods. Getting rid of belly fat requires persistent and consistent effort, but it can be done. 6. Omega-3 fatty acids are at the forefront of fighting inflammation. Inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids in your body is a good thing to have, but only as long as it's in balance with anti-inflammatory omega-3 fatty acids. The World Health Organization suggests an omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of 4:1 or less. Now, omega-6 fatty acids are a good thing to have, as long as your body is within this safe zone. They help to fight viruses and injuries to your body, and are fundamental in helping the body to repair itself, and for you to get better. However, the problem arises when the body has too much omega-6 fatty acids, and insufficient omega-3 fatty acids, and when this condition persists for years and decades, that's when your body suffers with chronic inflammation. This means the cell membranes are unable to absorb the nutrients and vitamin compounds from the good healthy food that you consume. Once this continues, your body slowly falls into ill health, and the chronic illnesses and degenerative diseases start to show up, and at a much earlier age than 10, 20 or 50 years ago. If you want to know how to obtain your omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio reading, and to know what action to take if that reading shows that your cellular health is out of balance, then complete a simple questionnaire by clicking on the URL link in the description box below. Consider this. Do you think that, because you look fit, or eat healthily, or just feel good, there's no need to concern yourself with chronic inflammation? If so, consider these alarming omega-6 to omega-3 ratios that might shake you out of your complacency, bearing in mind that the recommended omega-3 to omega-6 balance should be 4:1 or less. 1. The North European average ratio reading is 12:1. 2. The UK average ratio reading is 15:1. The UK is the sick man of Europe. 3. The Australian average ratio reading is 21:1. 4. The average North American ratio reading is 25:1. And 5. The average vegan ratio reading is 20:1. It's reckoned that 97% of the Western world is out of balance, with some sources saying that the figure is 99% in the US. These disturbing ratios and figures have arisen as a consequence of your unhealthy lifestyle, notably the processed foods you eat, and from a lack of exercise. So, do yourself, and your family, a big favor, take a balance test. Check out the URL link in the description box below this video, complete the short questionnaire, and then hit the submit button, to start the process. 7. Omega-3 fatty acids fight numerous autoimmune diseases. An autoimmune disease is where your body mistakenly takes healthy cells as foreign bodies, and starts attacking those healthy cells. An example of this is type 1 diabetes, where insulin production in your pancreas is attacked by your immune system. Omega-3 fatty acids can help reduce the risk of autoimmune disease, especially in the formative years of babies. And other autoimmune diseases that omega-3 fatty acids can help with include psoriasis, Crohn's disease, colitis, and rheumatoid arthritis. 8. Do omega-3 fatty acids help prevent cancer? This, for many, is the $64 million question. Apparently, studies have shown that the risk of developing colon cancer, for example, is reduced by over 50% if you consume omega-3 fatty acids on a regular basis. Other studies highlight risk reductions in breast cancer for women, and prostate cancer for men. Various studies have been undertaken to determine if omega-3 fatty acids do actually help prevent cancer, and this is one area where you need to be skeptical of the findings and conclusions. As previously mentioned, there are effective omega-3 fatty acids with the right antioxidant polyphenols, and then there are omega-3 fatty acids that, by themselves, are ineffective. So, what type of omega-3 fatty acids were used in the trials? That, you are not always told, so treat such reports saying that omega-3 fatty acids are beneficial, or not beneficial, with a high dose of skepticism. 9. Omega-3 fatty acids may improve bone and joint health. The musculoskeletal aspects of your body rely as much on having the right omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, as does any other part of your body. It amazes me when talking with chiropractors, osteopaths, physiotherapists, dentists and other health and wellness professionals, as to how many of them overlook the role that omega-3 fatty acids play in critical areas such as 1. Improving bone strength by boosting calcium levels, thereby minimizing the risk of arthritis and osteoporosis, and 2. Strengthening and repairing the soft tissue and ligaments that keep your joints moving seamlessly and efficiently. 10. Omega-3 fatty acids can alleviate menstrual pain. Menstrual pain is the bane of all women, as it affects many areas of your body around the abdomen area, and impacts adversely on the quality of your life. The good news is that, there are studies that show women who consume healthy levels of omega-3 fatty acids, reporting a reduction in pain. One additional benefit from this, is that it significantly reduces the over-reliance on drugs such as aspirin, ibuprofen and paracetamol. 11. Omega-3 fatty acids are good for your skin. This could be seen as an obvious benefit, as people relate cells and cell membranes with their skin. However, what most people don't realize is that a healthy cell membrane leads to soft and supple wrinkle-free skin, hence, the reason why some people look younger than their age. Other benefits to your skin from increasing your omega-3 fatty acid intake include 1. Protecting your hair follicles, so that your hair doesn't fall out, 2. Reducing the premature aging of your skin, 3. Reducing or eliminating acne and other skin conditions, 4. Helping to protect your skin from the sun, and 5. Protecting the collagen in your skin. So, you can now see how all parts of your body can be improved, protected and repaired by getting your cellular health back into balance, that is, your omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. So, now remind yourself of this vital question: how important is your and your family's health to you? To begin the journey to improving your health, to improve the quality of your life, and to increase the longevity of your life, just click on the URL link in the description box below this video, complete the short questionnaire, and then hit the submit button. Finally, don't forget to click on the special report link in the description box below this video, to get access to 4 vital ways to improve your love life. And now, here's the boring, but very essential bit. Kindly note, the content of this video does not constitute medical advice in any shape or form, and has been created for passive informational purposes only. End of boring, but very essential bit. Many thanks for watching this video. In the meantime, and until the next video is released, bye for now.